On June 9th, Anthropic put the most powerful AI it had ever built in front of the public. 72 hours later, the United States government reached in and switched it off. To understand why a government would do that, you have to understand what had just been released, because this wasn't a chatbot that writes emails. Anthropic builds its models in tiers. This one sat in a new tier above everything else they'd ever shipped publicly, a class of model the company had, months earlier, called too dangerous to release at all. The reason? This class of model turned out to be extraordinary at one specific thing: breaking software. Pointed at real, widely used code, it found security holes that had been hiding undiscovered for decades. A flaw in a core operating system that had gone unnoticed for 27 years. Another in networking software, 17 years old. On one standard hacking test, the previous top model produced 2 working exploits. This one produced 181. Nobody trained it to be a hacker. This just fell out of making the models smarter. And that's the problem, because a tool that can find and exploit unknown vulnerabilities at scale isn't a productivity app. Governments treat that like a weapon. So Anthropic did something careful. The version it released to everyone had guardrails bolted on. Anything touching serious cyber attacks or bioweapons got quietly redirected to a weaker, safer model. In practice, it tripped on fewer than 1 in 20 conversations. This was supposed to be the responsible way to ship power like this. It didn't matter. On the evening of June 12th, 3 days in, a letter arrived at Anthropic's headquarters at 5:21 p.m. It came from the U.S. Commerce Department, and it used the machinery of export controls, the same legal tools that govern who's allowed to buy missiles, advanced chips, and nuclear technology. The order said no foreign national could access the model, anyone, anywhere on the planet. That included Anthropic's own employees who weren't U.S. citizens. There was no clean way to enforce that, so the company had to do the only thing it could: take the model down for everyone worldwide. Which raises the obvious question: what did the government see that was worth all of this? The answer, as far as anyone could tell, was a single jailbreak, a trick that got the model to bypass its own safety rules. The government's position: this thing could be talked into becoming the unrestricted cyber weapon everyone was afraid of. Anthropic looked at the demonstration and pushed back hard. The trick, they said, was narrow. It only surfaced a handful of minor, already known bugs. And crucially, other AI models available to the public right now, including ones from its competitors, could find those exact same bugs. None of those got switched off. Their real objection was bigger. Recalling a product used by hundreds of millions of people over one narrow jailbreak, they argued, is a standard that, applied evenly, would freeze every new AI release in the country, not just theirs, everyone's. So why Anthropic? Because this wasn't the first collision. Earlier in the year, the company had refused the Pentagon's contract terms. It wouldn't agree to let its AI be used for autonomous weapons or mass domestic surveillance. The response was swift. The administration ordered federal agencies to stop using Anthropic's models. The Pentagon branded the company a national security supply chain risk. Anthropic took the government to court. Advisors publicly called it woke. By June, the relationship was already broken, and here's the twist almost no one caught. One day before the shutdown, Anthropic's own CEO published an essay arguing that the government should have the legal authority to block or reverse an AI model that fails safety testing. 48 hours later, the government used exactly that power against him. The model stayed offline for 19 days, and in an industry measured in weeks, that's an eternity. While the most capable American model sat frozen, cheaper open-source models out of China kept shipping and kept closing the gap. A key U.S. competitor rolled out its next model on schedule. Allied governments got nervous about how much they now depend on a single decision made in Washington. And the timing could not have been worse. Anthropic had just quietly filed to go public, at a reported valuation near $965 billion. This all unfolded at the single most sensitive moment in the company's history. Then, on June 30th, it ended almost as abruptly as it began. The Commerce Department lifted the controls. Anthropic agreed to work more closely with the government, flagging threats, aligning on safety standards. The next day, the model came back online worldwide. But it didn't come back the same. Now the government gets early access to Anthropic's frontier models before you do. The terms of who controls the most powerful AI had quietly, permanently shifted. Which leaves the question this whole episode was really about. A sitting government just proved it can switch off a tool used by hundreds of millions of people mid-flight on the strength of a security assessment the company insists was wrong. Does every powerful AI now need Washington's permission to exist? Nobody knows yet. But it won't be the last time we find out. This is Predator AI. I break down what's actually happening at the frontier and how to build with it before everyone else catches up. Subscribe.